friends. How are you today? I don't know why I say that all the time now, because they say it at my kids' school, daycare. Everybody's a friend. Hi, friend. And I feel like that's actually something that we should address. It's not actually why I got on here today, but maybe I was supposed to talk about that too. We teach our kids that everybody is a friend. And then we actually find out that that is not accurate. And sometimes people that say they are your friends are indeed not your friends. They're acquaintances. They are somebody that was important in your life at some point in time, reason, season, lifetime, the old adage. It's actually true. Everybody's here to teach you something. Actually, I do recommend that you approach life. I have found this very useful, that everyone is here to teach you something. And the times that I've kind of like blown people off and been like, oh my gosh, what is this situation? I've been proven. Spirit's taken the time to show me. Don't write that off. And so it's made me stop and pay attention a little bit more often and hear messages more clearly. But we teach our kids that everybody's a friend, and that's not the case, because people will say they are your friend, but they will not behave like they are your friend either. Again, I talk regularly about the difference between what you say and what you do. Talking the talk and walking the walk. And I recently went through a spiritual awakening, changed my religious beliefs. I spent a life growing up in the Roman Catholic Church and Southern Baptist raised families. And I found that some people very immersed in those cultures tend to be the most hypocritical, because it's all talk. It's all talk and no walk. And that's actually what Jesus, Yeshua, whatever your preferred name, was here to teach us, was that it's not just about what you say, it's about what you do, because everything is energy. And what you say also has energy. What you do also has energy. But those things also need to line up for you to get that same level of karmic return back to you. And while I'm having my spiritual awakening, I'm communicating to people, loved ones, family, friends, revelations that I'm having about how the Bible's been manipulated, atrocities in our world, what Jesus' true message was. And man, they didn't like it. They didn't like it one bit. And because they didn't like it, and I was trying to be authentic, and they were blowing me off and telling me I lost my way and all this stuff, like most of everyone in my life, I've grown up in a narcissistic trauma cycle that I'm healing and breaking right now, working through complex PTSD. And I ended up having a fear-based reaction, which was a blown third eye as well. And do you know what? Pretty much every single one of them turned on me. And I told them, I believe in a higher power, an almighty creator, a source of creation and unconditional love. I believe we are all a piece of our creator, we're all a piece of the universe, experiencing it in a human form. And I believe our souls, I know our souls are eternal, our souls are safe. We are here on earth to experience the human experience. There's earth native souls, but souls that have incarnated here, we're here to learn. We're here to learn about being a good fucking person. What a novel idea. What a novel idea. So, everybody says, well, not everybody, sorry, that was a generalization. And the circle of people that wrote me off. So I had a fear-based reaction. I was like kind of crazily praying over my kids. I'm not denying that that was a scary experience because it can read emotions. And I was seeing negative emotions in my child's face. And because of, you know, the fire, brimstone, religious culture I grew up in, I was praying the demons away. I wasn't hurting her, but it was an aggressively scary situation. But anyway, through that, everybody basically told me I lost my way. I was nuts. Because I believed something different than they did. And, you know, I communicated my beliefs about the Creator. I communicated my knowledge about Jesus being a highly evolved soul that came to Earth here to teach us a lesson. And he aggravated religious authorities because he challenged the status quo and was teaching people that you don't need an external source of validation to tell you what to do, to know the difference between right and wrong, to know intuitively and instinctively when you're doing something that is a positive action with good energy and high vibration versus something that is a negative action with not even necessarily negative, just low vibrational energy. Like there's no like overarching sin where it's like, oh, we've defined this as bad and this is good. Again, it comes back to energy. What's high vibration, what's low vibration. What you put out is what you're going to get back in. And you decide what sin is, because you in your head go, oh, I did this and now I feel guilty about it. But who made you feel guilty about it? Is it you? Or is it somebody somewhere along the line that told you this is something that you are supposed to feel guilty about? But here's the thing. If you're doing something that you feel guilty about and you continue to do it over and over again, like then you stop and think, okay, am I continuing to do this because I'm actually not doing something wrong, but someone else somewhere convinced me that it was supposed to be wrong? Or am I continuing to do this, for example, if it's something like substance abuse, am I continuing to do this because I'm masking something else that really needs to come out? And this is where, like, again, the energy comes back in and where saying and doing have to match. So when someone tells you, I'm your friend, but then they don't actually, like, do the things that to you, instinctively, intuitively, you would want a friend to do for you. And you get to decide what that is. Like, someone saying, I'm here for you, doesn't mean shit when to me, in my definition, no, you haven't been here for me. And to you, you may think you've been here for me, and that's fine. But to me, you have not, and those things don't align. And I don't need to explain myself over and over again to tell you why you haven't been here for me. I can simply say, by my definition, our friendship at this point has run its course because you and I don't see eye to eye anymore, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I think you're a bad person. It just means we're not running in the same vibration anymore, the same circle anymore, and I wish you nothing but the best. And yeah, and similarly in relationships, when someone continues to tell you, I love you, I love you, I love you, no, I want to make this work, but then does everything opposite of making it work and puts in no effort, doesn't want to change, and continues to make you feel like you're the one that has to work. Personally, in my experience, I grew up a people pleaser in a home with an alcoholic narcissist, and then I married someone who treated me the same way. Like, you get to say enough is enough. You get to say, you know what? You're choosing not to change and this behavior is no longer acceptable to me. And that's enough. I grew up in a house where I was taught that having feelings was inappropriate, speaking your mind was inappropriate, that if I wanted to break up with a boy, I was a heartbreaker. Like, how dare she decide that sweet young man is not good enough for her? Well, guess what? Sometimes they're not good enough for you, and that's okay, because everyone's definition of good enough for me is different. Everybody is different. Everybody has different needs. And for someone else to make me feel guilty for like wanting to end a relationship because that person no longer meets my needs. I was taught that around the age of 16, mostly in romantic relationships, when I wanted to break up with my first boyfriend, my high school sweetheart, who at the time we had a very lovely relationship, but it had kind of run its course and I was interested in something new and, you know, liked somebody else. And at 16, I tried to stand up for myself and say, like, hey, look, I'm interested in somebody else, and I would like to explore this and see what happens. And it's not fair for me to keep you in a relationship when I could potentially be interested in someone else. My mother got involved in that. My mother got involved with my ex-boyfriend at the time and convinced him that if he did certain things that I wanted to get back together. So when I communicated that I indeed did not want to get back together, it was a huge deal of like, but your mom said, and it's like, the who and a what now? My mom did what? And that's, you know, where my mom started getting involved in every romantic relationship. Actually, she was involved before that, but that was the moment where instead of being like, okay, well, I'm sorry about what my mother told you, but this is what I want. We started getting into it, and my ex went out and laid in the middle of the road and had a tantrum and waited for our car to come pick him up, or car to come run him over. And again, instead of being like, okay, and this is exactly why we shouldn't date anymore, I was like, get your ass out of the road and come back inside, and I'm not going to break up with you. And then our relationship just went downhill from there, because guess what? I didn't want to date him anymore. Like, I tried to tell you I don't want to date you anymore, and I got pressured into staying with you and made to feel like I was a bad person for wanting to break up with someone. And then you want to know what I did? I cheated on him because I didn't want to date him anymore. Shocking. And then I'm the bad guy. And this is like the cycle my mother put me in my entire life. And anyway, again, saying one thing and doing another. And I was guilty of it my whole life because I was taught that that is how you behave. You say and do what people need to hear and see you do to feel comfortable in their own situation. And I was taught that's how I was supposed to live as well. And I did that for most of my life. And now that I'm in a position where I am actually trying to say and do things that match up, people are very uncomfortable by it, because I also am calling them out on their bad behavior, because I'm also recognizing my own and trying to own it. So, you know, let's teach our children that not everybody is a friend, and that discernment is key here, and that, you know, we need to pay attention to, is this person, like, do their actions match what they're telling us? Because that is crucial. And I, as a empath, sorry, I'm trying to concentrate, energy healer, channel, you know, read people's energies. You look at body language. You can sense when you're talking about something if a certain part of someone starts to react. You know, there's something going on there. For example, just as an aside, not necessarily like matching what you're saying and doing, but like physical energetic reaction to something triggers when I am on the phone with my ex and I'm getting like frustrated and trying to breathe through it and remember that I'm healing. I will inadvertently catch myself, my left hand, my feminine side will literally just start like gripping my right wrist, and I am just like squeezing it for dear life to like calm myself down. And that's your masculine side. That's my feminine energy trying to like tap into my masculine energy to balance myself back out and not get like too emotional and to breathe through it and to relax. And you know, when you can't be fully safe and comfortable in your feminine energy, you have to tap into that masculine energy to balance yourself out. Anyway, just a little example. But how did we even get started on this? Not everybody is a friend. Matching what you're saying, what you're doing. And in my spiritual awakening, everybody around me with a religious background kind of abandoning me, you know, which again, the Christians, aren't they the ones that say, you know, we're supposed to love everybody, treat your neighbor as yourself. So when you think differently than the masses, you abandon self. You've been taught that to think differently from the masses is wrong, that you're not supposed to question anything, that even having a conversation about questioning it is inappropriate because you're in a faith that's taught you to question things is wrong. I question that. And it's been put in place to keep you in a fear-based mindset where you're not questioning things. You're not questioning the status quo. You're looking outward for validation. You're looking at all the people around you to like you in order to feel comfortable and to fit in. You're looking at priests and religious leaders to tell you the difference between right and wrong and how much of your money you need to give them. And a government that says you need to turn to us to help you, a medical industry that says don't worry about healing naturally, take our medicine that's making you even more sick. And we're just in these systems where we are consistently taught to rely on something outside of ourselves. Sorry, I keep moving and I didn't realize I'm moving out of frame. Outside of ourselves. And Jesus was actually here to teach us to go within. That it's all within you. Your intuition is not wrong, but discernment is important. You gotta listen to it, especially if you're out of balance in your energies. And if you're experiencing, you know, PTSD, OCD, bipolar syndrome, schizophrenia, ADHD, all that fun stuff. Folks, you are likely highly tapped in spiritually and no one's ever taught you how to use it. And you're all over the place. So that's something else we'll talk about. But anyway, you know, me questioning the status quo and trying to actually tell people, like, you don't have to live in fear. Like, we've been misled. We have been intentionally taught to stay in this fear-based psychological construct, if you will. And anybody that's telling you not to question things, why? Why don't they want you to ask questions? Why is that not okay? Why is it not okay for you to think differently? Why is it not okay for you to have a conversation about it? And where are those people in situations where if they were in, you would have been there for them? And where are they just loving everybody? Right? Disagreement doesn't have to mean division. We can agree to disagree. We can have different opinions. Doesn't mean we have to like stay in the same circle, because sometimes those opinions can be so different that you just don't have any, like, you're not vibing, you're not on the same wavelength anymore, and that's okay. But like complete turning of the back and abandonment, how very Christian. And now I'm a single mom going through a divorce, having cashed out my IRA because it's the only thing I have because I was a stay-at-home mom. Living in an Airbnb rental through the end of May. And none of my so-called friends are, not none of them, that's not true. There's several people, you know who you are, that have been right here by my side. Blind faith. Not always blind faith, but they're there. Yeah, and the rest of you are praying for me and judging me at a distance silently because I'm different, and I am trying to be myself, and that's okay, because you know what, those people are just falling out of my circle now. And that is the other thing. Like, again, not everybody's a friend. It's okay to have acquaintances. It's okay to be cordial with somebody, but you don't have to be everybody's friend, and that's all right. It doesn't make you unkind. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you immoral. It just means you're not vibing with somebody, and that's all right. You're not always going to be everybody's cup of tea. I certainly am not. And there were a lot of people that used to be my cup of tea that no longer are. So just give yourself some grace and trust your gut. Like, if you instinctively continue to feel like you're giving people chance after chance and they're just not, they're listening to you but they're not hearing you, or, you know, they're not giving you the responses that make you feel like, oh, this person really is here for me, then that's okay. And you can say that. And it doesn't make you a bad person. Protect your energy. Stand for what you deserve in relationships, whether it's romantic, friendship, parent, whatever. Teach your children that they don't have to be friends with everybody, because if somebody is treating them inappropriately or treating them in a way that makes them feel undervalued or unimportant or less than, or makes them feel like they have to dim themselves to be around that person or group or whatever, then they don't need to be friends with them, and that's okay. Like, but that's what I want to teach my kids, because I was taught that you're friends with everybody. You include everybody. You invite everybody because you don't want anyone's feelings to get hurt. And guess what? As an adult, especially, like, other people's feelings are not my responsibility to manage. And I'm going to include the people that make me feel supported, make me truly feel like their words and their actions match. And that doesn't include everybody. And that's okay. That's fine. Yeah. If you continuously surround yourself with people that don't align with what you feel inside, it takes a toll on you. I know from experience it's taken a physical toll on me, and I don't know, that's not something I'm going to dig into at this moment. I will get into that because it's all about the energy healing as well. But right now, that energy from, like, stop allowing certain energies into your area that just don't make you feel good. And, like, you don't have to do stuff just because somebody else wants you to. If you're finding yourself in a situation where you're like, I don't really want to do that today, like, okay, why do you feel like you have to? And what can you do to not have to do that if it's something that just seriously doesn't serve you and your higher purpose, and you're, like, listening to yourself and going, you know what, this is, like, kind of a strange day, or this is going on and this is what I need today. Like, you can tell people no, you can change plans, you're allowed to change your mind, you're allowed to decide who you want in your life and what you're going to do. And you don't have to feel bad about it, and you don't have to apologize for that. And women in general have been taught that we have to apologize for that. What the fuck is that? I saw this lady in the grocery store the other day and she started walking in my direction. Like, literally, she was there first and I was trying to go around her and she apologized to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was like, please, like, don't apologize to me. And she was like, oh no, and I was like, no, you were there first. Like, take up your space, girl. Don't apologize to me. I was coming through, and women need to just stop saying I'm sorry for shit that isn't our fucking fault. We just do it instinctively because that's what we have been taught to do, is to apologize for being in the way, for existing, for taking up space. So I encourage you, ladies, if you are in a position where you're feeling like you're being discouraged from taking up space, fucking spread eagle, baby. Do it. Take up all the space you want. Tell the truth. Stop covering for people who don't give you the same respect that you give them, and stop letting people sit at your table that don't bring anything. Yeah, that is not the message at all that I thought I was coming to bring today. I was going to talk about not worrying about stuff. Maybe I'll talk about that later, but that just popped out. Thank you, Spirit. So take care of yourself today, because that's the most important thing. We are all part of one big old love, people. So taking care of yourself is also honoring Source, which is also honoring everything that's a part of Source, which is all creation. Like, how inappropriate is that? Also, oh yeah, so the hill that my ex wanted to die on when we disagreed with my new religious, my new spiritual beliefs, everything's new to him, is, even though he has been criticizing me for watching Ancient Aliens for 12 years, fuck him. It was all right. If you haven't watched Ancient Aliens, just go back to the beginning. Start from the beginning. Thank you, Giorgio Tsoukalos. I said, I believe that Jesus was here to teach us a way of life. He made religious leaders uncomfortable because of it, because they had us in a different spiral path, and he was here to create a movement, a revolution. And instead, he got killed and nobody did anything about it. Right? And I said, he was here to teach us a way of life, not that simply believing in him. This whole belief that, the only way to heaven is to believe that Jesus was the only begotten Son of God, who was sent here to die specifically to save humanity from our sins. That is bullshit. And I said, I don't believe that. I do believe he was here to teach us a way of life. And again, religious leaders killed him, and that he was here to teach us not to believe in a person, but to actually live our lives via the teachings, right? And when I said that, I was like, I believe he was here because we're literally supposed to be called to live by his teachings, not just believe this is why he was here and we're just saved. So we get to do whatever the fuck we want, and then at the end we get to say, I'm sorry and you're good, I believe in you. Okay, I'm in. Woo! Yay. No, that's not how it works. That's not how karma works. If you do whatever the fuck you want during your life and you feel guilty about it and you feel like you've sinned and you just get to apologize, like, that's what you put out. It comes back to you. So we're in a big karmic loop right now, people, as well. So if you've been putting out negative karma, if you've been gossipy, if you've been judgy, if you've been full of shame and guilt and anger, buckle up, baby, because some shit's about to come back to you, and it probably already is. Everybody noticing, like, major health events in family members and things lately, heart attacks and Crohn's disease and, bowel stuff and just all kinds of crazy illnesses and medical situations happening to people right now in general in the world. That's karma. We're in a karmic cycle right now. So, yeah, when I talked about that, it was like I watched my ex short circuit. It was like, oh, you mean we actually have to live our lives properly and be good people instead of just doing whatever we want? yes, you get to do whatever you want, but it's also like, do what brings you joy with pleasure, not judgment, not fear, not anger, not a chip on your shoulder. Like, I mean, sometimes there's a little chip if somebody deserves it, but that's something you have to work through. Trauma healing. And my flappers are gasted that when I proposed the idea to so-called Christian religious individuals that Christ consciousness isn't a person, it is a way of life that we are actually supposed to be living, and you can actually experience more joy in your life if you do, instead of staying in this little box that humans are all there is. I'm sorry. If we acknowledge how large our universe is and we're like, this almighty creator who loves us so much, sorry, I got a timer there. This almighty creator that loves us so much, and wants us just to have everything, all the joy, all the good experiences, like humanity as it is now, this is the best we got. This is what we have. This is the end all be in the universe, end all be all. And we're in a world full of suffering and pain. Like, no! That's not the point, people! It's not the point. So, I think I'm going to stop myself here. I think I'm starting to get hungry. So I'm going to go take care of that. And I'm going to take care of myself and my kids today. And I would like for you to do the same. And taking care of yourself and spreading your joy helps other people, activates other people, sparks in them. So, yeah, that's all for today. Everybody have a beautiful day. Love you. Bye. Well, maybe not all for today, but all for this moment. Okay, bye.